Hi everyone, welcome back to Sports Kati. I'm Rohit here, and with me is Vaishak.
Hi everyone.
Firstly, thanks for all the feedbacks and responses. We did receive a lot of feedback asking us to do a video podcast rather than an audio podcast. We did look into such an option, but then due to current proximity and network issues, we are not able to have a video podcast. As soon as we overcome these constraints, we will look into switching into video podcast. Thanks for the comments again. Coming towards today's topic, it has been quite entertaining with all the top four European leagues back in action. We have matches from multiple leagues going on every week and midweek. One thing that everyone discussed a lot during this restart is the amount of injuries. I think the title races and the race of Champions League spots and even maybe relegation battles all will depend a lot on how well the squad is rotated and maintained in this tight schedule. And injuries play a key part in those. Now, with the Bundesliga almost done, that might be one league we can look into to give us some insight into how teams have coped up with the COVID break and whether we see a rise in the injuries or not. So, Vaishak, could you give us some insight into how injuries have played a role in the Bundesliga?
Well, that's right. So it would be better to first start from Bundesliga and we'll go on to other leagues. Uh, let's check this table I have just prepared. It's since restart, there have been 45 players who are currently injured. Now, this table does not include players who had minor troubles. Also, this table does not include players who are back after injury either. These are only the major injuries and who are still out. And out of this, four players you can see they are coming back from injury and their comeback is delayed after the restart. So this could be, the medical staff giving a very optimistic diagnosis about their return, and this may not have anything to do with the restart. So let's forget them for time being. So basically, 41 players suffered major injuries while playing and preparing for the restart. As you see, 11 of them got injured during training. They did not feature in any matches since restart. The remaining 30 players who got injured directly from the play or something that aggravated from the play. We can't tell the difference between these two scenarios. Out of these 41 players, no goalkeeper got injured while playing, luckily. Only 3 developed injuries and they all developed while training. There are 7 centre backs, 4 full backs, 13 midfielders, 6 wingers and 8 centre forwards, to say it by position to position. The central players look to be more involved in injuries than wide players over here. So 6 of the centre backs and all 8 centre forwards that I listed developed their injuries trouble on the field while playing. Wide players seem less prone to injuries, so that's something interesting. Now let's look at this table for how the top 5 clubs had their injuries. Now this table shows the number of players times the number of matches that is missed. So, and in the table, you see that 94 matches times players Bayern missed before the Corona break. And that means every match they were missing 3.76 players. And like that, after the break, they're missing 4.36 players every match. And so on, you can read that for every club. You see that injury worries for Dortmund has increased. Injury worries has increased a bit for Bayern, but it has decreased slightly for Gladbach and Leverkusen and decreased drastically for Leipzig. Now, it would be wrong to conclude looking at this table and say that no club were affected. Dortmund, yes, of course, they were affected, and you could see it in their performance as well. Gladbach was the next most affected because they had a lot of injuries even before the break and still have a lot. But the key difference between the two scenarios is that right now their key players are injured. Like, for example, Marcus Thuram or Alassane Plea, who got injured after the restart. That's very important for them. Well, before the break, it was mostly the squad players who were unavailable. Leipzig spent the whole season with a lot of injuries. They had 2 of their main centre backs missing for the whole season. And now, according to the table, they are termed to be back. But in reality, if you look at those 2 specific centre backs, Willy Orban and Ibrahima Konate, they have hardly played 45 minutes in total since restart. Similarly, the table is misleading for Leverkusen as well because the fitness issues of Kevin Volland or Lars Bender is not reflected on the table. Now, Bayern has coped with injuries thanks to a deep squad and a coach who could integrate, the squad players well. I think I've said this once in the first episode, but I would like to repeat it again. The way Leon Goretzka has replaced Thiago in the starting 11, that is one of the prime examples, how the squad players are stepping up to replace main players. Now, coming to the main point, Bundesliga schedule was really, really relaxed. Out of the 30 injuries that happened in the last 5 weeks of action, 18 injuries have happened in the last 2 weeks, where there has been midweek matches. It gives an impression that injuries might have been higher with midweek matches. Now, that I think is a huge challenge in other leagues. The matches may not be high intensity for the first couple of matches, but it soon picks up intensity. Like most people might remember the Bayern versus Dortmund match or the Leverkusen Bayern match. These matches showed high intensity matches are possible without crowds. I'm actually, really looking forward to the leagues to pick up. So that is not a worry. What do you think about the PL squads? What do you think about the Champions League spot race between, I guess, United and Chelsea are the most favorites, isn't it? How will they rotate the squads effectively?
Oh, that was a good insight from Bundesliga, Vaishak. Firstly, I would like to highlight, that since the restart, Arsenal has suffered already some key injuries, and that has already put their race to Europe in not the best spot. And as you mentioned, there was no goalkeeper injuries in Bundesliga, but Arsenal did face an injury in goalkeeper. The first goalkeeper, Leno, is out for the season. Latest I heard is that his injury is not as bad as it was thought, but it will still take around 5-6 weeks to recuperate. So he's out for the season anyways. Let's look at what. So while you're talking, I was looking at what has happened to the Premier League teams before the COVID break. So this is the table before COVID break on how the injuries were. So you can see Manchester United and Chelsea have rather higher numbers or average injuries per match is higher compared to Wolves and Tottenham. Wolves have very low numbers. Wolves have been sticking on to the same squad throughout the season, and that has been the key to their success also. But again, these numbers, as you mentioned, for Bundesliga are slightly skewed because of certain one or two injuries. Like, for example, for Chelsea, Rudiger was injured for pretty much a long time, so that has affected a lot of these numbers. Similarly, Ruben Loftus-Cheek has been injured, but then it's good to see that they are back now since the restart, and Loftus-Cheek even started in the match against Villa. So it's good to know that the Chelsea squad is now back to near full strength. Similarly, even Manchester United injuries have been dominated because of Pogba or Rashford. Key injuries, but because of long-term absence, have caused such high numbers there. But again, same like Chelsea, United, and even Tottenham, their squads are back to full strength. So as of today, we have teams all having near full squad with them. So whatever injuries come in is going to be from the restart. But having said that, these teams cannot afford injuries. Going to the final stretch, an injury in a critical position can impact the race for Champions League drastically. For Chelsea, if I say critical position, people will say that we have Tammy up front, we have Giroud, but an injury to one of them can put them in under severe position, because as you said, we have midweek matches, we have matches every third day, so that means a striker to continue 90 minutes every day might not be possible. So this is a critical position for Chelsea. Similarly, the wing option, as wingers, Chelsea did face issues with Pulisic being injured out during the first half, and Willian did play through most of the matches, but an injury to Willian, Pulisic, or even Pedro, who is in the squad, then it can hamper the Chelsea's race for Champions League. For United, the critical position is mainly, again, the front three. We saw what happened when Rashford was injured in the first half. We saw that, even though Martial was filling in the role, we then missed out a role of a left winger. So, filling out those gaps was a challenge for us, and we did suffer a bit. So we cannot afford injuries for Rashford or Martial. Similarly, we did not face much of injuries in the centre-back position, but I want to mention this, is that our backup centre-backs, that is Jones and Twanzebe are currently injured and they are recovering from injury. So now, if we get an injury to one of our centre backs, then we have only Bailly in the squad. So we are slightly light there. So that is another position which is critical for Manchester United. For Spurs, the key position is really the striker Kane. They really don't have a replacement for him. I mean, they have Parrott in the squad, but come on, he's nowhere close to what Kane can provide. And we saw that's what happened to Tottenham because of his injury. They're currently in the table where they are because of Harry Kane's injury. Spurs also don't have quality wingbacks, so an injury to Davis or Aurier can hamper them. Anyways, apart from the squad, the other critical aspect that influence the title race is fixtures. I have made a list of the fixture table here. So as you can see, United have a smooth run in until they play Leicester in the final week. Chelsea, whereas has more of a mixed bag. They have matches against City, Liverpool, and Wolves still remaining. But then, having said that, they do have a 5 point cushion. So I feel they can still, they still have their heads in front. Spurs have an easy run apart from maybe Arsenal, who are not in the best form, and Leicester in the second last week. But both of the matches at home. I have included Wolves in the chasing pack because they have been really great this season so far, and they have also reasonably good fixtures going into the end of season. Apart from Arsenal at home and Chelsea away in the final weekend. My prediction for spots for Champions League spots are the spots 4, 5, 6, 7 are that Manchester United at 4, Chelsea at 5, Wolves at 6, and Spurs at 7. Yes, maybe my prediction is slightly biased because I'm a Manchester United fan. Anyways, Vaishak, how are the Italian and Spanish title races?
We are not looking at the Champions League spots race for Italian and the Spanish league anyway, because we are running out of time. But that is no way a statement that the Spanish League, Champions League race is not important. It's one of the best things that's happening in Europe right now. And even the Serie A, the Champions League race is quite interesting. Let's look at the numbers for the title challenges over there. What are the injuries that Barcelona, Real Madrid, or Juventus, Lazio is facing? Now, if you look at Barcelona, Dembele had been injured for long, even before restart, and it still remains to be so. Suarez, who was injured for a long time, is back. The one blow is Frankie de Jong, who got injured after the restart. But Barcelona seems to have a lot of depth in the central midfield area. I do not think it would be much of a problem there. But one place where I think is a problem for Barcelona is the centre-back position. I feel they don't have enough depth or quality over there. Maybe Barcelona fans might disagree with me. Full-back positions, they have some backups. They are young and healthy, so that won't be much of a problem. They do not have much cover in the wings, and of course, I'm not expecting anyone to cover for Messi. They look fine in the centre forward position. That was one of the worries, Griezmann not scoring. But now you can brush that away with the arrival of Braithwaite, return of Suarez. Ansu Fati also provides some hope for Barcelona fans. You go to Real Madrid, they had a lot of injuries. They, at one phase, had both their left backs injured, Mendy and Marcelo. But right now, the defense is pretty much restored with an exception of Nacho, who should be back pretty soon. Their main worry is in the centre forward position. As both their backups, Jovic is injured and Mariano Diaz is coming back to fitness. So they're totally dependent on an old Benzema. On the other side, they have Asensio, James Rodriguez, who are coming back from injury, who had dominated their injury list. So is Eden Hazard back to fitness. And I think Real would need a goal-scoring contribution from both of them. Let's have a look at the fixtures. They're fairly similar in toughness for both Barcelona and Real Madrid. Barcelona have tougher matches sooner and easier matches later, while Real Madrid have pretty much mixed up schedule. Now, given the Setien's lack of idea on how to rotate the squad and even hesitating to substitute at times, I will be predicting Real to take the title, but I won't put a penny on it. The race is really, really that tight in Spain. If we get to Italy, Juventus cope with the absence of the legend Chiellini, and he will not return till the end of the season. Injury of Khedira is not much of a worry, I think, because Bernardeschi, Rabiot, Ramsey, the so many midfielders who are looking for a chance to prove themselves in the Juventus squad. You go to Lazio. Lazio had this amazing run without many injury worries. Now that said, now the main centre back, Luis Felipe, is injured and out, and Italian the schedule is so tight. You will need a lot of rotation. So that is where I think Lazio has slightly lost its edge over Juventus. They will have the complete hope on Ciro Immobile and their goalkeeper Strakosha to keep them alive now. Many people might not have heard the name Strakosha, but he's an unsung hero in Lazio. And let's hope that the title race is alive till the end. But if I have to predict someone, I would predict Juventus to take the title this time. But then again, that is a very slight chance. Juventus as a team has not yet got used to playing the Sarri ball. They have their frailties, and that gives a slight hope for a good title race.
Well then, let's see how the leagues move forward and how the respective coaches manage the squad. We've clearly seen that injuries play a key part, and the squad rotation is important with the tight fixtures coming in. Anyways, to our viewers, let us know your thoughts on how the squads should be rotated to cope with the frequent midweek matches. And if you like our content, please like the video and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel to receive similar content. Until next time, stay safe.